Hey, everybody, this is Jonah Lupton, and you're listening to the Startup Sense podcast. We have a great episode for you today, so hope you stick with us till the end. On the phone, I have Chrissy Marriner. She is the co founder of Sweet Minerals. They're a makeup company, started a few years ago using the direct sales or direct to market through reps kind of business model. We'll get into that. But first, let me introduce Chrissy. Chrissy, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Before we talk about the company and how you guys are growing, tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, I am a mom from Maryland in the makeup industry. I don't know what you want me to say. I was serial entrepreneur, probably way too many directions, and love to focus this year. Like, it's all been about focus. I'm a little
Awesome.
bit woo-woo and a tomboy, so.
When you say tomboy, what does that mean? Are you into sports or?
Dirt bikes, playing in the woods, going on adventures, snowfall, stuff like that.
Nice. So you're definitely an outdoorsy kind of person then. And you're in Nashville, right?
No, I lived in Nashville, and I'm keeping my Nashville number, but
Okay.
I am from Maryland. I love Nashville so much, and I can't seem to give up my cell phone number.
Nice. Okay. How long did you live in Nashville for?
I only lived there for a couple of months. I was wanting to go there for the longest time, ended up living there for a couple of months, and then I moved back to Maryland. It's a beautiful town now.
Sounds like your heart's kind of in Nashville though. Maybe you should go back there.
Yes, I know. I'm ready.
I've had a few friends move there in the last couple of years, and they love it. It's hard going down south and moving away from family, but I think there's a lot going down there that keeps people there. So, okay, so talk to us about. I know it's kind of a unique story on how you started Sweet Minerals. You were actually a founder of a previous makeup company, right?
Yes. So I started my own makeup company back in 2007. I began formulating in my kitchen, and then I started going to events. I had a website. And I had all the back end, but I didn't know how to sell at the time. So I really wasn't making any sales.
How were you selling? Were you just selling online?
I was selling online. And, a lot of people in the beginning, they think that as soon as they have the website, all of a sudden the floodgates will open and orders will just start coming in. And I definitely had that illusion in my head. And that's not how it works. Like, you have to have an audience first. And
I think
yes.
on my first company, I spent probably 80 to 90% of my capital on all the development stuff, and then didn't have much left over for marketing. And now I've realized it needs to be the other way. It needs to be 20% on all the development stuff and 80% left over for marketing.
Yes, you have to have the people. Like, people aren't just going to find your website, which, yeah. So I definitely had that illusion.
So when did you shut down that company?
That company actually ended up rolling into Sweet Minerals. So I started it in Texas, and I formulated the recipes, did all that. It really wasn't doing a lot. Like, I would have bursts of energy, pretty much yo-yo dieting with my business, but never making a whole lot of sales. So a couple years later, it was 2010, and I remember standing in my mom's kitchen. I moved back to Maryland. I moved back in with my mom, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close down the business. And I had put a lot of money into it, like a lot of personal money into it. I had put about $40,000 into just the products, everything.
Yeah, right.
And I really wasn't stressed about it at all. I just said, I think I'm going to close down the business, and I'm going to sell all my stuff on Craigslist, and I'm going to help somebody else get into the makeup business, because I knew the back end side. I wasn't talking about the sales, but I knew the back end of how to mix, where you get the packaging, all kinds of things like that.
Right. You learned a lot. You had some valuable lessons to share with someone else.
Yeah. So I was really comfortable with that. Like, it was fine, because a lot of people will dwell on, I lost so much money. I wasn't in that mental space at all. And then I went to, it was after Christmas. Here in Maryland, we love the Ravens, and it was a Ravens football game / Christmas party. It was after Christmas, and it was very, very crowded. And I ended up sitting next to this girl. She sat down, she was eating a salad, and she just looked at me, and she's like, so what do you do? And at the time, I had always worked a 9 to 5. And I never told people about my business. It was almost like I was embarrassed to tell people about it because it wasn't making money. For some reason, I just looked at her and said, I'm a makeup formulator. And she said, oh my gosh, because I'm a makeup artist. So we connected on Facebook. We really didn't talk about anything. It was really crowded. But she tells me now, she's like, I stalked you on Facebook for a week. And so she sent me a Facebook message and said that her and her business partner, Candace, were looking to add a mineral makeup line to Candace's business. Candace was a salon distributor, and they were looking to add a mineral makeup line. Come to find out, they had tested all these different makeup lines, and they didn't like them at all. And so we set up a meeting in a Chicago Uno Pizza in Ellicott City, Maryland. And my plan was to just give them, I brought them some of my recipes or some of the actual foundations and stuff just to test and stuff like that. And I was going to help them with whatever they needed. I wasn't planning on going into business with them. I was just going to this is what I've learned. Here you go. So we ended up staying there for 3 hours. We shook hands and decided to start a brand new line, and we became business partners right there.
Wow.
I had never met Candace before that. I really didn't know Heather. Heather went to school with my fiance, and my fiance said afterwards, he's like, I've been telling you about her for years.
Small world. Wow, it's interesting.
It's such a small world.
That's a good founder story. So now here you are, 5 or 6 years later, right?
Yes. So that was in 2011. 2011 was pretty interesting. This January, we formed the partnership. And in March, we had our first event. So we had everything we repackaged. We came up with a brand new name, Sweet Minerals. And so my old company kind of just blended into that. That's how we.
But it was some of the same formulations?
Yes, it was it was the same formulations, just under a different name, different look. And then we had our first event. We were going to debut it at a women's event in Maryland, and all weekend, it was a Saturday and Sunday event. We had lines around our booth all weekend. People were waiting for us. And it was pretty cool because you would see people. What we were doing is we were giving them makeovers, and then afterwards we were saying, this is what we have for sale. It's a special deal today, blah, blah, blah. And people were buying. But what was happening is that women would sit in our chair, with their head down, and they wouldn't really say a lot. And after you would put the makeup on, they would look in the mirror and they were a totally different person. So that was our first time seeing that, okay, this is really something. Not only do we have lines, they love the products, it's actually giving them confidence.
Now, what do you think separates your formulations and your product line from the hundreds or even thousands of other makeup companies out there?
So it's a little bit different in that I have sensitive skin. So mineral makeup really didn't work for me. It either wouldn't stay on my skin long enough because I formulated it in Texas, where it's 98 degrees half the year. So you walk outside, your makeup just melts off your face. So when I made it, I wanted an all-natural product, and I wanted it to stay on the skin. So our formulations are very different. And we say that they're sweat-proof and waterproof, meaning you can get into the pool, but then they're all natural ingredients. So you have the best of both worlds. So you're not putting all these chemicals on your face, but you're also not putting mineral makeup powder that just falls off your face. It really stays on like a magnet pretty much until you wash it off.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I have a friend in Florida who wants to start her own makeup line. She actually works at a big makeup company right now. And she just says that, a lot of their products, they use a lot of garbage and chemicals, and, people don't realize what they're putting on their face. I mean, I told her, the moisturizer that I use and the face wash that I use, and she looked up the ingredients and she was like, oh my God, throw that stuff away now. That stuff is so bad for you. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm a guy. I just buy it off the shelves at CVS. And she's like, well, stop doing that. There's actually good products out there. You just have to do your research.
And the general public has no idea. You could put gasoline into a product, and the FDA, as long as you can hide it within the ingredients, and as long as aren't several complaints to the FDA about your product, you can get away with it. So people are putting the cheap stuff. They're putting. It's amazing. Your friend is very smart.
I
she
used
should
to
go
own a
for it,
supplement
especially if she
company.
has a what?
I used to own a supplement company, so I know firsthand that the FDA is mostly useless.
Yes,
Where
yes,
I think
you know exactly.
there's misconceptions from the consumer and the public on what the FDA actually does. You know, when you walk into GNC
Hmm.
and see stuff on the shelves for sale, none of that is actually FDA approved. And I'm assuming, you know, I don't know how does it work in the makeup industry? I mean, does
It's the
stuff
exact
have to go
same.
through? Okay, so nothing has to go through FDA approval.
No FDA approval. The only if you can't say the word sunscreen or SPF, like that has to be tested just for
Okay,
the amount of SPF that's in it. You know, if you say it's a SPF 50 or SPF 60, you do have to go through testing, but that has nothing to do with ingredient testing.
jeez, that's so crazy. So I could start a makeup company and start selling the stuff to people who are going to put it on their faces and their bodies, and the lack of testing. I mean, so there really isn't much testing.
There's nothing. No,
God,
it's
that's
and
crazy.
but it's so and then it's almost like the Better Business Bureau. It's the way that the back end of the system works is very interesting once you see it. And you know, having started a supplement company, it's the same way. So if all of a sudden, let's say all of a sudden we had a product and everyone's face was breaking out, or Clinique or anybody, then after multiple complaints, they will look into it. You know,
Exactly.
it's
Right. Yeah,
a
that's
little
how it
bit
works with
backwards.
supplements. You know, the FDA waits until people start dying from
Yeah. Oh.
supplements, from fat burners and
Hmm.
pre-workout or whatever before they start
Mm.
investigating. And then they may
Hmm.
fine the company, but usually the fine is peanuts compared to what the company made in revenue off of those products.
Yeah, they've
Um,
already made it and started their own other businesses or have
right.
left the country.
This is Jonah Lupton, founder of the Lupton Group and host of the Startup Sense podcast. Are you struggling to find the right tech team to build your company's website or mobile app? Maybe you've developed a product but need help with your go-to-market strategy, including branding and marketing. Well, stop worrying, because my team at the Lupton Group can assist you with all of those needs. We specialize in helping entrepreneurs and startups of all sizes launch and grow their businesses. For a free consultation, you can email me at jonahlupton@gmail.com or visit our website at luptongroup.co. So talk to us about, okay, so how does the manufacturing work? I'm sure it's not easy to set up. So once you have the formulations, I mean, are you mixing this stuff in your garage, or are you going to,
No.
okay, so where do you guys mix
So
it?
we started in my kitchen, and then we moved to a small office down the road from my house, and then we expanded the office, and then we needed to expand again because with manufacturing, we also do all of our in-house fulfillment, so shipping instead of outsourcing that. So we do it all in-house. We have a big office warehouse lab near BWI Airport. And
Okay.
so we have a lab, we have a shipping area, and we just have like different stations, and the lab is separate. So we manufacture all of our mineral products and make in Maryland. All of any of the liquids we have, how do you say that? They are manufactured in
Like
a manufacturer, you know, that does
a
liquids. So
third
we work
party
with a
or
formulator.
co-packer. Yeah.
Exactly. So we work with a formulator, develop the liquid formulation, and then either they or somebody else mixes it. Because with liquids, you do have laws around liquids.
Right, right. Yeah, it was the same when I did my supplement company. I had one manufacturer for my pills and one manufacturer for my powders.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Were your
So I mean,
pills, were they powder or were they liquid?
they were powder in the pills,
Okay.
but the company that I used that did the powder, they just didn't have the machines to do the pills as well. So
Oh, so
they
you would get
stopped.
the powder and then send it somewhere else.
Right, exactly. Um,
Yeah.
Talk to us about, what is your distribution strategy for the products?
So our first year, we basically said whatever's going to stick. So Candace owned her own salon and spa distribution company within the Maryland area. So what she did is her company would distribute skincare products to salons and spas. They were looking to add a mineral makeup line. So that's how we all got connected in the first place. So we decided to try that model. We decided to go to local events, sell at events. At one time during that year, we decided to open a kiosk in a local busy mall, and then we ended up leaving in the middle of the night after Thanksgiving because it wasn't working, and we didn't want to get billed for November's rent.
Why wasn't it work? Why didn't it work?
It just didn't work. Like, that model didn't work. The kiosk, we had several employees, and it was just very different. Think about going to a mall and then people trying to grab your hand. It's
Right.
like push and pull marketing. You can't do that. You can't like push them into buying the product. They have to be interested. So that didn't work at all. But the people throughout that year, we were developing our email list, and then we were also having people buy our products and then find us either on Facebook or wherever saying, oh my gosh, I love your products. Are you coming to direct sales? Which direct sales is like Mary Kay. It's like, it's in-home parties, or it's person-to-person sales. So it's the direct selling industry is basically saying Sweet Minerals sells to a direct sales consultant who then sells the product.
Okay, right.
And so this had been on.
Do you kind of wholesale it to them, and then they kind of retail it to their customer?
Yes, we would wholesale it to them, and then they retail it. But there's a whole computer system that is required in that business model, and the three of us didn't know how to do it. We did not have experience in that. And so our first event, we met a lady named Shelly who was watching us the entire time. She had been in direct sales for 20 years. We made over both of her daughters, and she didn't tell us this until later. She said, you made over my daughters. The makeup looks beautiful. My one daughter has severe acne. You covered it up perfectly, and she feels amazing about her skin. I've been in direct sales for 20 years. When are you coming to direct sales? And we just kept saying November. This was in like March. We were like, contact us in November. We had no plans for November. But we ended up keeping in touch with her. After we left the kiosk, we were like, okay, this just isn't working. The kiosk isn't working. Doing events isn't working. We do have people that love the products, so the products are good. We need to find a good distribution channel. And so we got in touch with Shelly, and over the month of December, she helped us put together a whole marketing program for direct sales. January of 2012, we launched it, and, we haven't looked back.
So what was your strategy for getting women to kind of buy into your new business model and want to be part of that direct sales program that you set up?
So that's the push-pull marketing thing. So we haven't convinced anybody that they have to join Sweet Minerals. What always ends up happening is it's a customer first, and they love the product, and they want more information. And so now we have catalogs that have all of our products in it, but then in our catalogs, it says, do you want to join us? Come join us. Here's information on how to join us.
Right. Okay. So do you have incentives? Like, I'm pretty familiar with the business model. I know kind of network marketing. I mean, there's different terms for it. And there's other companies in other industries that do it as well. But, if you have, so say you're a woman, you throw a party at your house, you invite 15 of your friends, you give them makeovers, they buy some makeup, and then 3 of them say, okay, I want to sell this as well. Does that woman that brought them in kind of get credit for it and start to get kind of overrides on whatever they sell?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so they do get overrides.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, I mean, they're trying to sell product, and then they're also trying to recruit more people as well.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
And then month to month, you have monthly incentives for different things. You might have an incentive for products. You might have an incentive for hosting parties. You might have an incentive for bringing people on your team.
Now, is the entire revenue strategy at this point the direct sales model, or are you also going into retail? Are you selling online? Or have you really just focused on that for now?
We do sell online, so we have our own online store. We sell through direct sales, and then we also do sell through some salons.
Oh, right. Okay. So your business partner that owns the salon distribution company, have you been able to find other salon distributors in other parts of the country?
That's something we've talked about. We just haven't had the focus to do that yet because we want to make what we're working on good before we spread ourselves out too thin. And so after we started the business, she closed down that. Like after that first year, she said, I'm going to focus pretty much on Sweet Minerals as direct sales. We still do have these other relationships, but this is what I'm going to focus on. And that was 5 years ago. So we really worked on that business model to make it easy for the direct sales consultant to sign up, buy the products, recruit, stuff like that.
Okay. So in terms of driving traffic to your website for online sales, what marketing strategies have been the most successful?
We do Facebook ads. We do Pinterest. We get a lot of interest from Pinterest. We're really starting to pick up on an Instagram strategy and get people over to our website. And so
now with Instagram, is it with Instagram, would it mostly be working with influencers?
That's for 2017. Yes. We're going to start to work with bloggers and an influencer not an influencer. There's a platform. I forget what it's called. It actually works with influencers. So you work with them and then they work with influencers for your product.
Yeah, there's a few of them. I mean, I can always get in touch with some if you need to. I know some marketing companies, and that's kind of the fifth or sixth channel that they do. You know, they do SEO, they do pay-per-click, they do, email content, and then, now they're all adding the influencer marketing as well.
That's great. Yes.
With Facebook ads, what do you spend a month on Facebook ads? And then what do you think that drives in terms of traffic and revenue?
So we don't we don't market to cold traffic on Facebook.
Okay.
We only do retargeting. And so we've really been, because, I know you probably know Facebook ads, the cost of Facebook ads are going up and up and up. And unless you have a product that can back it, if you have a $20 product or a $50 product or a $100 product and you're spending money on cold traffic, unless you're really, really trying to just get awareness out there, and we are not investor backed. We are 100% bootstrapped. So we have not put money into cold traffic advertising.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I've talked to some e-commerce experts before, and they say that it's just gotten so expensive on Facebook and Google to advertise now that it's almost a one-to-one, meaning that, you're never going to make money on that, directly from those ads. All you're trying to do is just drive traffic and get email addresses, because that's where the real value is. It's, being able to drip on these people with email campaigns, for a couple months until they either buy or they unsubscribe.
Yeah, and we have a pretty big email list, and so what we'll do is we just have them all loaded up into our Facebook audience, and we'll just retarget them. So they are constantly seeing what the specials are. It's just constantly in their face, so they're not forgetting it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, but a lot of this is timing, right? I mean, sometimes buying makeup is spontaneous. Who does the marketing? Do you do the marketing internally, or do you use an agency?
No, we do it internally.
Okay, so you've kind of learned all that on your own?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, Active Campaign, you name it, all of that, it's a lot, but it's fun.
Right. I mean, if you're going to be an online business, or you're going to start a direct sales model, you do have to slowly become a technology expert. I mean, you don't have to, be the geniuses that work at Facebook and Google, but I mean, you at least, you have to know a little bit about everything. Talk to us about, so bootstrapped company. Most of the companies I have on here are investor backed. So, they have their own struggles with that. Obviously being bootstrapped brings its own struggles. Kind of talk to us then about how much did you guys all put in the beginning to get the company going?
In the beginning, it was so little, because we had had my products.
Right.
So our first year, in my business, I put in total probably about 40,000. A lot of that we had. So we had the jars. My mom owns a sign business, and this was great for us. My mom owns a sign business, and so we do all of the printing through her business.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so you get save some money there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because with multiple products and multiple labels, so that's a huge chunk of change. We didn't start out with any liquids. We started out with very few products that we could just, turn around. Really, the only money we started with in the beginning was we needed logo design. We needed some print materials. It was we needed money for different events. It was under $2,000.
Okay. Yep. No problem.
To get going.
That's awesome. No, I mean, I think a lot of founders get scared away by how much money they think it's going to take to get started.
Hmm.
And, in this case, you got started for just a little bit of money. Now, of course, like you said, you did have some assets, left over from the pre-existing business that kind of helped. But,
Yeah.
um, and then in terms of marketing spend the first couple years, before you got into the direct sales strategy, what do you think you were spending?
I know the first year we spent twice as much money as we made. So
Okay.
I think that first year we made like $44,000 and we spent like 80 some.
Was
And
that
that
scary?
includes, no, I mean, not at all. Because I guess in our minds it takes 3 years to become profitable, but we were profitable our second year.
Okay, good. Now, are the three of you able to take salaries yet?
I am not taking a salary. I am just on the board of directors, so I make high-level decisions. I help them with marketing and stuff like that. My other three partners, which Shelly was remember when I said we found somebody in the direct sales industry? She ended up becoming our fourth partner, or the fourth
Okay.
partner that next year. And so there's four partners, and they work actively in the business every single day. And yes, they take salaries.
Okay. Now, I mean, I know you said that you have somewhere around 1,500 women across the country that have signed up to be reps, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I know in the pre-call you mentioned you don't know exactly how many of them are active. Any guess as to how many of them may be active on a monthly or quarterly basis?
I would say active, and we have a definition of active. It's within a certain amount of time. I would say it's about between 400 and 500, which is
Okay.
pretty good. And
Yeah.
what's really cool is that we just found this out. It wasn't hiring. Our first opportunity meeting, which was January 2012, we had 8 women sign up there, and we were selling $1,200 or $1,300 packages at that time, because we knew we were selling them high inventory that we had a good markup on, and we were using that to fund the business for direct sales.
So what does it take? So
And so,
say, my sister, for instance, is a stay-at-home mom, and I'm sure if she was looking to get into this business and generate some extra revenue for herself, what would it take for her to get started?
$49 right now. It's normally $99. So every month we have a different sale on a join kit. So right now I think we're running a sale and it's $49. In 2017, we're looking at adding another really high dollar package, because we're finding that people, they want to have their own boutiques. They want to have their own stores. And so we said, we started with that method and it really worked. And so we're probably bringing it back. And I know this isn't like public knowledge, but a lot of people are going to be really excited about that.
Okay, so for $49, she could essentially become a rep for Sweet Minerals. And then what would your recommendation to her be in order to get started? Is it set up kind of home parties?
So when somebody signs up, they get training. They get training on the back end. That's what we call it. So we have different levels of training, and it's completely up to them how they want to sell. So they could sell doing parties. Some people are social media people. So we're starting to see the tides change of social media influencers are wanting to sign up, because they know that they have an audience who would be completely all over this. So
Right.
they don't want to do a home party, they just have the
Right,
audience.
right.
So it's
Yeah, I mean,
completely
because
up to them. There's different avenues.
if they're a blogger or they're on Twitter or
Hmm.
Instagram and they have thousands of followers, that's way more powerful than getting, 5 or 10 people into their house on a Tuesday night.
Exactly. And it's amazing. Like, if you look at over the past year, I've really dived heavily into affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing, the back end of affiliate marketing and the back end of direct sales is the exact same. And so I think that's what we're going to start to see in the industry as far as direct selling, is that they're going to run it more like, oh, Susie wants to have a home party versus Susie wants to become an affiliate. Or, you still call it the same thing, but it's just looking at it just a little bit different, like pivoting it just a little bit.
I mean, with the home parties, I'm sure when someone goes there as a guest of whoever's inviting them, I mean, they know that they're going to get kind of pressured into buying, right? Versus online, there's obviously not as much pressure because you're not face to face.
Yeah, we don't do high pressure sales. Like none of us are high pressure salespeople. What our parties are, instead of just showing them products, our parties are classes. They're just makeup education classes.
Oh, okay.
So what they do is, somebody comes, we say, come without makeup, or you can come with makeup, but go in and, wash it off your face before we get started. And it's a lot of fun. So it's a class type atmosphere. And we teach them how to put on makeup, because a lot of women don't know how to put on makeup. They feel very uncomfortable about it. They just do what their moms did, and their moms didn't know anything. I mean, I didn't know anything. My mom didn't know anything. And my grandmother, it's just like, we just try these things. So a lot of women just want to learn the right techniques on what they can do. So they put on a full face of makeup, starting from moisturizer all the way to the end, to lashes and brows. And then they see themselves. And so it's completely up to them if they want to purchase anything that they use. And most of them do. They're amazed. So they love it. And then they say, oh my gosh, I have to buy this. So it's not high pressure. It's that push versus pull. We're pulling.
How do your product prices compare to some of the other big makeup companies?
Our prices are pretty much in line with Bare Minerals. I don't know if you've heard of them, Bare Essentials.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like the 800-pound gorilla, right, in the mineral space. I mean, any idea how big they are?
Oh, they're huge. I mean, maybe 4 years ago, they were bought out by Japan's biggest makeup company. It's huge. Absolutely huge.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think they even have their own standalone stores, right?
They do. They have standalone stores. They got started the company started in the 1970s, but ended up being bought out by Leslie in the 90s, and then they started using QVC. QVC blew them up, and so they're still on QVC.
Yep, I remember that. That's why I didn't realize the company was so old, because I only saw the name maybe 15 years ago on TV. I can still, remember the infomercials. So the company right now is doing a little over $500,000 a year in revenue. What's going to take, how do you get the company to $1 million or $2 million in revenue in the next, 18 to 24 months, or whatever your goal might be?
So we're adding the boutique packages. So that's going to be a high dollar. There's like an equation that you look at that says, if you want to make $1 million, you want to make it $10 million in a year, how many do you need to sell at X amount, X dollars? So if you're selling $10, $20, $50, $100 things, we wanted to look at selling high dollar things that were in demand. And so really aggressively in 2017, we're going to push the high dollar boutique packages. I have no idea what they're going to be sold at, but that's going to be an inventory package for somebody that wants to have a makeup corner in their house, that they either want to sell from their house or they want to sell online. Because the way we work right now is they don't have to carry any inventory. All they do is they place an order and we ship directly to the customer.
Gotcha.
We're having a lot of people say, look, I want to cut that out. I want to make more money. I want to be able to purchase with a higher discount with inventory. So we know it's needed. It worked in the beginning, and we're just like, okay, that's how we're going to do it. And then 2017, we haven't done any PR. We haven't done any podcasts, any PR. We're really hitting PR hard this year. And thanks to you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Yes, you are. Well, I've had 2 other podcasts, but thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yeah, it's a great way for me to bring on entrepreneurs and have them share some value and advice with the audience, and then hopefully the audience is able to return the favor and give you some business, or at least some traffic, or sign up for the newsletter. I mean, whatever it might be, it all helps. What is so for the direct sales reps, if that's what you call them, what is their take or their payout or commission?
They get between 25 and 40%. So they get 25% no matter how much they sell. But if they sell, there's certain criteria, more within a month, their commission split goes up.
Wow. That's pretty good.
So at 25, it can go, it's very good.
Yeah. I mean, and I've done affiliate marketing, and I've owned companies that did it. typically affiliate marketing is in that 10 to 15% range if you're lucky. So,
especially with products.
right, exactly. Because and now I know makeup has really good margins, which is why you can probably get away with 25 to 40%. Is that part of it?
Makeup, yes, makeup has very good margins. There's what was the quote? Can't remember if it was a book or what it was, but it was talking about the margins in the drug industry. Like there's such good margins in, selling pot or whatever. And my partner looked at me and she was like, that's like the cosmetics industry. And then we heard later, somebody said, gosh, I wish I could remember. It said, there are no better margins than the cosmetics or the medical marijuana industry.
Yep. No, I mean, that's why there's a lot of competition in the beauty space, beauty, skincare, makeup, just because the margins are so good. And those big companies, right? I mean, the Mary Kays, the L'Oreals, the other 15 that I could rattle off. I mean, they probably spend billions of dollars a year in marketing.
Yes, it's all about awareness. And then, I mean, you probably experienced this with your supplement company, is that there's such great margins, but when you're a manufacturer and you have how many ingredients in a pill, 15 ingredients, 20 ingredients, you have to purchase each of those ingredients just to make that one product. So that's definitely what we experience. There are absolutely wonderful margins, but we have to buy 250 ingredients to be able to, fulfill just the products that we have.
Right. You got to be very efficient with your ordering. And where do you get your supply from? Where do you get your raw materials from? Who do you source from?
Oh my gosh, all over the place. So it really depends. We do the U.S. for all of our makeup ingredient supplies, and we don't have one supplier. Like we have so many different suppliers, and then it really just depends. We have brushes, different jars. We have a lot of different suppliers, and then we also have backup suppliers, which is great. So if somebody is out of a certain jar, they're out of a certain lid or whatever it is, you can go to another supplier and say, hey, we use this, do you have this? And they do.
Cool. Have you tried to raise money for the company?
We haven't. No, I mean, we really haven't known how to do it. Like, we're just clueless.
Listen to my podcast and you'll learn.
I'm going to listen to all of them. I have it up on my page right now. You've been doing, well, you did a bunch of them and then you came back and started again, didn't you?
I did, right. So I started the podcast in 2012, did about 75 interviews, over a 2.5 year period, and then took a break because I was focused on other things, and then came back maybe a month and a half ago, and I've done probably 30 episodes in the past 5 or 6 weeks.
I see that. I'm going to binge listen.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had some great guests in that first 2-year period. Some of them are extremely successful companies right now, like Buffer and Wave, which is an online accounting company. They've raised tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. But I also had a lot of guests on there that have, their companies are long gone, and the bar probably I wasn't doing enough due diligence, I guess, into their business model. Some of them were kind of pre-launch, so I'm definitely not doing any more pre-launch companies. So I think the quality of the founders that I've had on this past six weeks or so is so much higher than it was before. I mean, after we finish up this podcast, at 15 minutes after we're done, I'm interviewing the founder of a company that's going to do $1 billion in revenue this year. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So he'll be my biggest guest thus far, in terms of, I guess revenue for a company. And then I have a couple companies coming on next month that are, they've each raised over $100 million from investors, and, but we get into that. I mean, I guess all I'm trying to say is we get into some of that, and each interview is, how much money have you raised? How did you do it? Was it through connections? Now, a lot of these companies have gone through accelerator programs like Y Combinator, Techstars, AngelPad. Who else is out there? Those are the big ones that I can think of. And so and 500 startups. So those are kind of like the 4 that are the most common amongst my guests. And that's how they find most of their investors. But first they have to get accepted into an accelerator. So that's a very difficult process. In some cases, these accelerators take, 10 to 15 companies every 6 months, which is kind of the norm. Y Combinator has actually increased it to over 100 companies in each batch, but they get well over 1,000 applications. So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's some of these accelerators are harder to get into than Harvard probably is. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
competition, and because there's a ton of value add. You're surrounded by very successful entrepreneurs. They do a demo day at the end of the 3-month accelerator. That you're in a room, pitching to hundreds of qualified investors, that are ready to write checks. But your company is now kind of 5 years after launching. You have traction, you have revenue, you have all these women selling the product. Going to an accelerator probably wouldn't make much sense at this point, but you at least have some traction where maybe an investor would be interested. Just depends on what the numbers. I mean, I kind of know what the top line revenue numbers look like. I guess it depends what all the other numbers look like. What you're actually taking to the bottom line, and a lot of other, and then what they think that their capital investment can add. If they put in $100,000 or $200,000, what does that turn the company into? I mean, is that when you can get to that $1 million, $2 million, $3 million benchmarks?
That's amazing. I am seriously going to binge listen to those episodes because I just need that information. And everything happens for a reason. I feel that being on this podcast today happened for a reason. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I will check those out.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of resources online on how to learn about fundraising and how to start talking to investors and how to put pitch decks together and what types of terms you can expect in kind of a first round of funding. And a lot of that just depends on what the company looks like, what their traction has been and whatnot. A lot of companies raise money from investors before they've made any money. And it's pretty hard to value a company at that point. So what they typically do is they do like a convertible note that says, we can't value the company right now because it's too early. So when you go to raise your next round of funding after you have a year and a half of traction, then we can get an accurate valuation. So we'll kind of know what our early round of money was invested at. So, but yeah, I mean, start reading up, and if you need any help or advice, let me know. I kind of get back to the interview. I know we kind of took a little sidetrack there.
Sure.
Yeah, that's all right. No, I mean, that stuff's important. Other people are going through it too. What's kind of been the biggest lesson that you've learned from this company, from Sweet Minerals?
It takes longer than you expect it to take. I would say, for any kind of idea, and the bigger that we get or as we grow, it used to be, we have an idea, we could put it into action tomorrow, versus now it takes a little bit longer because there's, maybe multiple resources and just things like that.
It always takes more time and more money than you expect going into it. That's for sure.
Yes, and yes.
What has been I guess, piggybacking on that, what's been kind of the biggest mistake? Have there any, if you could go back in time, anything that you would like to do over differently?
There has, we all believe the same thing, and that's everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences, so we don't spend time regretting things. It's all just a lesson. This didn't work. You got to do it differently. We had, we paid for a high dollar photographer several years ago, and he didn't deliver on what we had hired him for. And we had to come to the decision of, look, are we going to spend mental time going after him financially, or are we going to take that energy and put it into growing our business? And so as far as regrets, there really aren't any. The kiosk was a big, expensive lesson. The photographer was a big, expensive lesson. Get a contract before you give people checks. And
how much did the kiosk
product
cost? Remember?
Oh my gosh. So we had to raise money quick, within a week. And so we raised money with our friends and family. We did loans with, high interest loans paid over whatever the amount of time was.
Just to get the kiosk?
And then to pay, that was, just for the kiosk, because the kiosk, we had to suddenly have all of our products stocked, which means we had to buy more jars. We had to buy more ingredients. I think it was $25,000 in
Wow.
product in a short amount of time. Like that was in September. We ended up leaving in November. We had 8 employees that were there 7 days a week, from the time the mall opened to the time the mall shut down. So yeah, that was an expensive lesson.
Yeah, but you know what? That's what happens in business. I mean, you have to take risks. You don't know what the outcome is going to be until you try it. And, I always say I'd rather live with the regret of failure than the regret of not trying. So
Totally.
it's a lesson learned. Maybe somewhere in the future you try it again, or maybe you've just realized it's not the right strategy and, customer acquisition model that works for the business. So kind of 2 last questions here. If you could be mentored by anyone, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. If I could be mentored by anyone, it would probably be Jessica Heron of Stella and Dot, because she's the founder of a huge direct sales jewelry company.
Right.
It's pretty big and it's venture backed. So it's like there would be so many different things.
I think I saw her on Undercover Boss. Does that sound right?
Oh, probably.
I think so.
She's awesome.
Yeah. Did she have a company before that as well?
She did. Yes. She had an online company that she sold. It was like it was wedding something, either
that's
wedding
definitely
wire or something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know she was on there. I'm gonna have to find that because I just love her.
Yeah, I love that show. I love Undercover Boss. I mean, I haven't seen any of the recent episodes, but they used to replay them all the time on TV, and I'm like 90% sure that she was on there, and she did a really, really good job. But she actually went to a lot of these home parties, kind of dressed up undercover, in disguises, and it was good. I mean, that show is very valuable for any entrepreneur looking to grow a company. I think it just shows the value of having the right people and understanding their concerns and their goals and everything else. So, and then last question I like to ask is, do you have a favorite book, blog, or TV show?
Favorite book is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep, that's a popular one.
There's a lot of them. Gosh, there's so many. Yeah, that one. And then I really like Ryan Blair. I would love to be mentored by Jessica Heron or Ryan Blair.
Okay, I'll message Ryan right now and tell him that.
Oh my gosh, that would be like falling out of my seat, passed out.
He's a busy guy. Do you have any idea how many people they have currently? Because he's the founder and CEO of was it Visalis? Is that how you pronounce it?
Visalis. Yeah.
Okay.
Visalis.
Any idea how many people they have?
Don't know. No. They're huge. I know, like we had talked about a little bit before. They had a big investor and then they bought it back. I mean, The lesson, like his first book was amazing. People either love him or hate him, but there's so few people in this industry, and my partners and I talk about this all the time. Like, there's so few people within the direct sales industry. You just want not a buddy, but just somebody that understands your business. And if you go to any kind of networking meeting or anything, they have businesses. They're not in a business like ours. So it's very difficult to find friends within our industry, though we do have some, and they're very special.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are in the direct sales industry, but they're the reps. They're not the founder. It's way different being the founder and CEO of a direct sales company. Back to Ryan Blair, I heard him speak on a podcast 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Very, very just transparent kind of guy. Like, he's got no problem opening up about his very difficult past and growing up in the projects and seeing friends shot and go to jail and stuff like that. So he really came from nothing and built a huge company. I think he said that they were going to do $800 million in revenue this year, I think. So now I don't know what they take to the bottom line, but no, he's super successful guy. Seems very honest and, to have integrity, which is hard to find nowadays from anybody. So cool. And any favorite TV show?
Well, I don't have a TV. We've got a TV, but we have Netflix. So I'm going to say Murder, She Wrote.
Cool. That's a good one. Yeah. I haven't seen the new season, but I think I watched the first couple.
Murder, She Wrote, like from the 1980s.
Oh, Murder, She Wrote. Oh, I was thinking How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh, no.
Oh, Murder, She Wrote. Oh my God. Was that Jessica? What's her name?
Jessica Fletcher.
Jeez, wow. Yeah, that's an old one. Okay. Well, cool. We'll end it there. Thank you so much. I want to thank you for coming on the show, Chrissy. I really appreciate it. Wish you much success in the future. And, once you guys hit that $1 million mark, feel free to come back and give us some updates.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. We'll talk soon.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.